Hello there, you faithful few, and welcome to episode 2 of our shed electrification series. I finally got an absolutely gorgeous day here today. Temperatures in the mid 70s, bright and sunny. Got some time on my hands, so come down to the shed, and what I'm going to try to accomplish today is getting that 3-way switch in for the exterior lights. Of course, this cosmic alignment of perfect videoing opportunities doesn't come very often, and when it does come, you don't have much time to do it, so let's jump right into it. You know, I hate when people say that. I take it back. So let us quickly get started. Our siding here on the shed is a 4-inch slat with like a 1/2 inch return. Well, I found these handy boxes on Amazon that actually mimic that very shape. So you can just take these guys and set them right on here, and for the most part, they fit really well. This right here is a putty version of caulk that I can use to put on the box where it makes contact with the siding, and that'll help seal it from the elements. Well, we need about 18 inches to make it all the way around this. So that's what we got here, and then we only need one of these beads. Well, you faithful few, I've never worked with this stuff before, so maybe doing something wrong, but it's kind of a pain. All right, there we go. Got that caulking installed all the way around. It's time to get it on the wall and screw it in. Just gonna wipe down siding here a little bit, make a clean spot on here. But I've also got this pre-marked with some pencils, so I don't want to wipe that off. Just get it kind of up in this crook here nicely, and then just push it back onto the siding as best we can here. That looks good and straight. Of course, the siding helps us keep it straight. Oh yeah, that's solid. And we've got a couple holes to drill through to get the wire in and then back out again to go up to the lights. Those hand signals help. I'm gonna go ahead and get this switch off of here just so I can be sure we get good holes. It also gives you a better view as I potentially ruin our siding with a big old hole through it. Okay, let's do it. Well, it's too late now. There's one. And there's 2. Now we'll look to be sure that the 14-3 wire was long enough to come out of the box. Not by a ton, but enough. Let's hope I don't screw anything up and have to cut a little more off. Next up, got to prep the wires here to connect. Got to get this insulation off, and the tool that I have only cuts 14-2 wire. It does not cut 14-3 wire, so I have to do it super carefully with the box cutter. I got to strip our 2 wires here to hook them into this switch, and this one is going to go into a Wago clip that attaches to the 14-2 wire that will go back into the shed and up to the lights. So now we got the wire coming out here that will go up to our lights. So I'm going to go ahead and get the white wire into the Wago so that that is ready to go. I'm going to add the ground to right here, and then the hot wire here is going to go and attach to the common terminal right here. We'll stuff this back into the box, and we'll show you the last thing to do to this switch. So the last thing I have to do is just put on what makes this an exterior switch. Got this cover right here that protects all the electrical terminals inside and keeps everything weatherproof. And what helps that is this little piece of foam here. This just goes over the switch, rests against the plastic around here. Essentially how this works is this little notch here goes over the actual switch, and then you take this lever, flip this up and down, and that flips the switch on, off. So it's currently in the off position. Go ahead and make sure this rests inside of that little notch. And then there are actually 2 screws that have a little rubber washer on them as well to aid in the weatherproofing. Here we got the full switch on. It's in the off position, and then just we're gonna flip her on and off, and that's gonna turn the lights on up in the ceiling. That is presuming that I hooked everything up properly, which we won't know until we get those lights installed. But next up, we've got to get these outlets put in the bottom down here. So of course we are not a home improvement channel, but if you're ever needing to put a new outlet on the exterior of your house or structure and have siding, I highly recommend these boxes. I picked this up off of Amazon, and it has the same shape as our switch box over there, where it matches the contours of the siding. The box comes with everything you need for installation, including all the screws that you might need. It has the instructions for installing the plate if you have siding, or even if you don't have siding. Then it also comes with its own putty caulk that I used for the switch over there. Hopefully this stuff works a little better than that. So this caulk is way better than the stuff that I got. This is thick and supple and should do a great job of sealing. This box is going to be super easy to install. First off, you just take this plate and find out where it is that you want your outlet, put it up there, screw it into place, straight into the wall. Then once this is on the wall, you've got a pre-made template right here to safely and accurately cut the hole in your wall. Then once that is in place, you just take your box, slide it into the hole, and then screw it here to the plate. Once that is in place, you can lift this up, and recessed back in there are the holes to install your outlet. So that ends up being nicely recessed way back in there to keep it away from the elements. And not only that, but this is called an in-use box. So you can take these little pieces out down here, and you can have your thing plugged in, and the cord will run out of the bottom here. And once this is closed, you can have that thing plugged in, and no matter rain, sleet, or snow, you can have your thing plugged in and safe from the elements. And then wham bam bibbity bow, we've got 2 outlet boxes installed. I didn't time it, I should have, but that was super fast. I think the longest thing was just making sure that that is exactly where I wanted to cut a big 2x4 inch hole in my siding. So now, just gotta run the wire and get the outlet installed inside the box, and then it's onto the lights. Of course, not forgetting our one other interior outlet, gonna put right under the window right here. Now when it comes to installing the lights in the ceiling here, it's pretty much the same process as those outlets, because we got a plate here that has the same shape to match the siding as those did. What we're going to do is we're going to put some of that putty caulk around the perimeter of this thing. We're going to stick these right up here, hope that the putty holds it there long enough to get a good size hole in this plate through the siding, and that should give us purchase for our 2 10-watt LED exterior lights. These are pretty much just like the lights that we put in the ceiling there in the shed. It has a kind of box that you put everything in. One cool thing about these is they actually have a type of Wago clip already on them, so it's going to make the connections super easy. Then the lights themselves, like I said, are 10 watts, and they're actually, we got these on a 30-degree gimbal here, so we will be able to kind of direct the light once it is up here in the ceiling. Again, probably the most time-consuming things about this install is determining exactly where I want them and then committing to the holes. I already got a pilot hole right here in the siding, and then I also have a hole drilled already up in the loft area through the plywood. This is considerably trickier. When I got the putty around here, now I got to get this connected to the wire that you can see sticking out of here. Then I got to get these clips pulled back to get behind the siding so that it pulls the plate and the siding together, because there's nothing else to connect to up there. There's no lumber that I can screw to like I could in those outlets, so I might have to hyperlapse this. I may take the other one and caulk it regular like without the putty. Just come around with some liquid caulk, go around that, because it's kind of difficult. Now let's get these things wired up, and then we are finished with everything but the solar panels. Okay, faithful few bad angle, but I had to get the last connections on video. Here is the last one. Bam. Look at that. Get all these shoved down in here. And tighten these up. Put these on, what is that, 4000K? That's it. Now, let's go do the solar panels. Well, I guess before we move on to the solar panels, we should check to see if the lights work. So I've got the inverter right here. We'll turn that on. Then we'll head out to the exterior switch and see if the lights will come on. All right, here we go. Oh yeah, both are on, as Workabout Mr. would do. We are at the final stage of this saga that began several weeks ago in our solar power box video. It's time to get the solar panels on the roof of the shed. Well, our solar panel of choice is an N-type TopCon bifacial solar panel from Bouge RV. It has a 35.7 volt open circuit voltage and 3.4 amp short circuit current. The claim is that they are 25% efficient, which is pretty good for solar panels these days, and their dimensions are 33.5 inches by 23 inches. Again, kind of small for a 100 watt panel. I ended up choosing these panels just based on some research, some reviews, and they came highly recommended from a channel called Hobotech, who does a lot of reviews on solar panels. Now, since I wanted to be able to tilt these panels towards the sun just to get the most energy we can out of them, I ended up getting two sets of Renogy brackets. These brackets are really fantastic. They come with everything that you need in order to put them together and to be able to tilt the panels at multiple different angles. Come with all the bolts you need, wing nuts, plastic nub thingies to screw it in easier to be able to get a good grip on it, and also some self-tapping screws that have like a plastic washer on to go through your roof and seal it as it goes in. Now, I mentioned that these are bifacial solar panels, and all that means is you not only have solar cells on the front of the solar panel, you have solar cells here on the back as well. So when this is tilted up, any light that reflects off of the roof onto the back of the panel will still create some energy for us. Each panel will have two brackets. You lay those brackets down right over the back of the solar panel, You screw them into the holes that are provided on the back of the solar panel. So for the hinge spot, all you need to do is stick that knob screw through the holes, get the washers on there, and then screw on the wing nut and tighten it down. Then there's a third bar that you use to support the angle that you're going to put the panel at. Now for us starting off, we're going to put the panel at a very steep angle. We want it up high just to be able to access the holes when I get it on the roof, to be able to screw it down into the shingles. Then that's all there is to getting the brackets on. Now it's time to take it down to the shed and get them installed. Actually, before I take on the harrowing task of getting the solar panels up here and installed, I figured it would behoove me to go ahead and run the solar panel wiring so that once I do get them up here and installed, I can just plug them in and not have to come back up here again. Luckily, the shed here was built with a ridgeline vent installed, so it actually gives me access to the interior of the shed from right up here. That way I can get the wires for the solar panels run down in there without putting any big holes into the roof. Now, since we are going to connect these panels in parallel, I had to have a splitter wire. So both of the positives from each panel will come into here, and then they go down into one wire. So all I have to do is feed this one wire into one side and then the negative black wire into the other side. So I've already gone in and got these little pieces of wire stuck out here so I know where the holes are. So now I just gotta feed them in right through the same hole. So although that roof vent is super handy, there still isn't enough room to get the MC4 connectors through there. So I ended up having to cut that splitter wire, and I put a connector, a splice on the other end. So once those get in there, all I'll have to do is strip the wire and put it into that butt connector, crimp it down, get a little bit of heat shrink on it, and then we're ready to go. We are reconnected now up there in the loft, and now that we are, I can finally see how much excess of the Anderson cable wire I have, and I'm happy to say it's plenty. That is because I still gotta cut this, get some ferrules on it, and some heat shrink again, and then get it plugged in to our 12-volt DC breaker. When we want to take the box out to go camping, this thing will just enable us to flip the breaker, cut off the power from the solar panels, safely remove everything to be able to take it with us. The box, that is, not the solar panels. The information is a little sketchy on which side is the positive and which side is the negative. There are no plus or minus signs on this breaker anywhere. Best info I can find is positives on this side, negatives on this side. So if it blows up when I flip the switch, we'll know why. Okay, you faithful view, other than the MC4 connectors for the solar panels, these are the last connections. Second to last connection, and final connection. Oh yeah. Well, barring any major problems, that completes the wiring for the entire shed. I'm gonna come back in the morning to try the daunting task of installing the solar panels on the roof. That would have been good. I would have crashed right into the camera.
No, I would have.
Yeah, Rugged Mountain Sister just literally caught a tiny washer rolling off of the roof in her left hand, no less. It's one of the reasons why I'm having her help me, not just videoing and catching me in case I fall.
You said to catch the solar panels.
That's true. Solar panels are more important. Bones heal. All right, we are installed. Now it's just time to hook up the MC4 connectors. Hope I don't hook them up incorrectly. Negative of one panel. Negative of the other panel. Positive of one panel. Positive of the other panel. Okay, nothing left to do now but trip the breaker and see if this thing works. Hey Fable Few, here we go. Watch out for sparks. No sparks, that's a good sign. All right, now I gotta pull up the Victron charge controller app and see if we're getting any juice. Firing up the Victron Connect app. Checking out the smart solar charger, and looky there. 94 watts coming in. It's at 10:20 in the morning. And I'm sure our angle isn't optimal. We got 3.2 amps coming in, about 30 volts, and charging up our battery. Success! Now that everything's permanently hooked up, we can use that Victron app to track the solar power coming in and actually the whole system over time, which is going to be really interesting for a data nerd like me. Well, now we're just going to get all the tools and things that we needed to do this project out of the shed and back into the garage. Then we're going to take everything in the garage that needs to come down to the shed, put that back in, like our mower and all of our lawn equipment and stuff, and going to plug in the chargers finally, which is kind of one of the main reasons why we did this. And then that'll wrap up this shed electrification project. It's been really fun to do. Super exciting for me that everything actually works. So thanks for sticking with me through some relatively lengthy videos for us. And I just want to thank y'all so much for watching. And you all have a great day.